and welcome, listeners. This is the Uncensored Anime Podcast. We are your hosts, David. We have Kenny and Jerry. And this week, we're going to be talking about Kimi no Na wa, which is Your Name. And that might be a little bit of a surprise for listeners. Yeah. Hey, I'm trying to be, a little cultured, I've been learning Japanese. Kimi no Na wa, for you listeners out there. But yeah, I know last week we were going to be talking about Log Horizon season 1 and 2. And maybe a little something else as a surprise. Well, the surprise is Your Name, the critically acclaimed movie. And instead of seasons 1 and 2, Jerry and I couldn't really finish season 2. So we're all gonna be talking about season 1. Kenny watched all of season 2 as well. 2, I guess. Yeah, Kenny's our finisher.
It's a lot of the same. So
yeah, so that's gonna be today's episode. Hope you're excited. There's my cat in the background. He's cleaning himself.
Cats, dude, cats.
So before we get into first Log Horizon and then Your Name, is there any news you guys want to share this week? I guess one thing I'll say before I open it up to you two, I've been reading Ghost Reaper Girl. No one's been watching. If no one's been reading Ghost Reaper Girl, I highly recommend it. It's got 4 chapters out right now. It's pretty cute. If you're into Vampire Knight, you might also be into this as well.
Oh my God! God damn it! We're already there. We are 1 minute in, and we're already at Vampire Knight.
You did not say Vampire Knight.
I had to. It's
Welcome
basically
to the Vampire
like
Knight podcast. Okay?
It's basically like the way I'm seeing it. It's like Bleach and Vampire Knight had a baby.
Really?
I'm all about.
Is it more shonen or seinen, or where do you think it falls, David, on the genre spectrum?
I don't know. It's like, I would say seinen's for little girls, right?
No, seinen's for old men. Shonen's for like young men.
Oh, shoujo's for young girls.
Yeah,
that's right. I'd say it's more shonen. It's got some good action. It's for younger audiences. It's not like sexualized or anything like that.
That's what I was thinking.
But I'm into it. I think it's gonna get pretty far. I don't know about like top manga of the week or whatever, but I'm liking it.
It's no Chainsaw Man.
It reminds me of...
It's no Chainsaw Man.
I was reading one manga that was in Shonen Jump, and I really thought it was going to be like the next hot thing. I was like, oh, this is going to be good. It was called like something P2 maybe or something like that. Ping Pong. I don't know. Do you remember this one, Kenny?
Oh, Full Drive.
Full Drive. Okay, yeah, it was a ping pong manga. And honestly, I was so into it. I was like, oh, this is going to be dope. It got canceled after like 8 chapters. I was like, oh no! I was so invested.
Oh,
because
that sounds so interesting.
It was going through because Kuroko's basketball had just ended,
right?
And they started that golf manga about
Robot Laser Beam.
Robot Laser Beam.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the Kuroko guy, and Haikyuu was really popular. So I think they sort of flooded with some shonens about sports, and they just didn't get, they didn't get picked up.
Yeah, I'm about to say the ping pong one just didn't happen. So I hope Ghost Reaper Girl makes it longer than ping pong. That's for sure. Yeah, longer than Full Drive.
I'm hoping it's pretty good so far.
You like this, but I mean, if a shonen has a strong start like that, it can last a long time. Without, even if it's not like a forever type of show. You can look at shows like what was that? The one about Hinamaru Zumo. It was like a sumo manga. Lasted a long time, like under the radar as one of those shows that just like lasted for a long time and was really never popular. Was really never like in the front or anything, but it was pretty solid. Well, dang, David, I'm happy you picked something random up this week.
It's good.
It's good.
He's got to let his cat out.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Gotta let the kitty out.
So the only other thing that's really going on in the anime world is that obviously we're coming up on a new fall anime season that's going to be coming in a couple weeks. We have some fun antics planned here on the Uncensored Anime Podcast for the fall anime season. So hopefully that goes really well once we get there. And hopefully we have some fun with the new shows that are coming out in the beginning of October. So we're just 2 or 3 weeks away from that, give or take. So that'll be a lot of fun. There is one show that's actually going to hit Netflix this week that I thought I'd at least bring your guys' attention and bring to the viewers' attention. And that's a show called Dragon's Dogma. Have you guys heard about this?
Oh, yeah. You sent us the trailer.
Yeah, essentially.
Is it based off the video game? Or is that something else?
No, you're right, David. It is based off the video game. Have you played it?
I haven't, but I've heard good things about the video game.
I was hoping
did Carlos play that game?
Maybe,
like,
I feel like someone in my circle of friends has played this game.
It was we played it.
I feel like I watched you guys play it at the house.
Must have been. I don't remember playing it myself though. That's why I was like, it was weird that I like watched a trailer and I was like, oh dang, I was like, I think I know this.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool, and I think what's interesting about that is it's sort of it is a Japanese anime, right? So it is from Japan, and obviously Capcom's from Japan, but it's definitely being marketed like another Castlevania, if that makes any sense. Like it seems like Netflix is trying to capitalize on that genre of like anime or game to anime adaptations and try to get another hit out of Dragon's Dogma. I don't know if it's going to work. I think the trailer actually looks better than I expected. I don't love the 3D animation style on most shows, but I don't know.
Yeah. Netflix loves that, don't they?
Dude, Netflix is addicted to 3D. But Kenny, I am hoping that maybe like Beastars, it'll do something with 3D animation that we haven't seen before. That'll be fun to watch. But who knows? Overall, I think it actually looks pretty slick. I might check it out. I think it dropped. I think it's dropping like right now, like this week. So the week that we're filming this, I think it's actually dropping the whole season on Netflix. So if you're listening and you want to check it out, definitely check it out. It's coming out a little bit before. I think it was technically part of last seasons of anime. And the way Netflix works is they wait till the show is all the way out and they put the whole season up instead of waiting or doing weekly or like Crunchyroll or somewhere else might do. So they'll do that. Right. So I think it was actually part of the last season, aired in Japan, and then I think it's getting carried over. But I could be wrong. It could be just coming out on Netflix as a whole. I don't know if it actually aired on TV at all. So that's always very interesting to find out. Other anime news.
I read some things about Togashi did an interview semi-recently, the author of Hunter x Hunter, and he basically he said like the anime sort of didn't end in the way he wanted it to, and so people are speculating that it may come back, it may return for a more proper ending to send off Gon and Killua as characters, which he said that very clearly that's what he wanted to do, and so I'm like, I'm upset because we haven't seen Gon and Killua in a long time in the manga. Kurapika has become the main character, and that's upsetting because I do like Gon and Killua, and I kind of was hoping they would be coming back. Right. You know, especially maybe not soon, but in some form or fashion, I would love to have them back. But we did introduce a lot of characters, a lot of new characters, a lot of new sort of things going on in the manga, and a lot of old characters are returners. So. I know.
What was the last arc that was animated? Was it the chairman arc?
Yeah.
And then Gon and Jing are on the top of the world tree.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of content in the manga after that?
There's a small arc, and then we're about halfway through a full long arc right now in the manga. And he in that interview said that he has full intentions of finishing it. You know, he wants to finish the manga.
Togashi always did. He's been talking like that on hiatus for the last 17 years. Get out of here, Togashi. Yeah. We love you, but we hate you, bro.
Yeah, for real.
Did he break his arm or something, or was he sick?
No, he has lower back issues, and it makes it hard to draw. Like he has a.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember what it was. I remember it was something.
Right. It's like a disease that. A handful of muscles in his lower back, and so it's painful for him to draw. So I do hope that one day we finish Hunter x Hunter, and I would love to see Gon and Killua again, especially how we've been separated from them for so long. And there are some characters like Beyond Netero that we haven't. Oh, spoilers
if you don't read or watch Hunter.
There are some characters. There are some
random Hunter spoilers,
or like Jing or Pariston. We haven't seen them in a while, and they're sort of fun, interesting characters that I want to hear more from. And so it's upsetting that But there are some characters that we haven't seen in a long time that have been getting a lot of screen time fairly recently. So and some very cool shit has happened. The small arc before the full. Ascension arc or whatever, the not chairman election, the Kakyoi, the Prince arc or whatever you want to call it. I can't remember the name. there are lots of characters that have returned it's very cool to have them around again and to learn more about their powers and things. So
dang, Hunter, y'all, Hunter freaking Hunter. Yeah. And David, do you read the manga or do you watch the anime?
I watched the anime, and I tried reading the manga after the anime.
That's what I thought.
And then I didn't.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think they're like 60, 70 chapters post-anime.
Yeah, I'm about to say, there's a pretty hefty amount of content that could be adapted if it ever were to. But
and they're monthly, right? So they're larger chapters.
No.
No. They come out when he feels like it.
Right, he writes them for 10 weeks. It's like he writes 10 chapters, and they get published over 10 weeks.
Bro, and he's only been doing that for like the last 3 or 4 years. Before that, he would go on like never-ending hiatus.
Indefinite hiatus.
Yeah. He would just go on hiatus,
which he's on right now.
As long as he'd like, and nobody knows why or how. But
some of the chapters, too, they become very, very wordy. Just lots of... Like, some chapters, I feel like some pages are just full pages of words. I'm just reading a book.
Wow.
But he goes really in depth into how Nin works in one chapter, and it's like the thought process that he does for himself in his hard magic system is unreal. Like, because really that chapter was like him laying out like, this is how hard I have to work to create a Nin user and a Nin power. These are the avenues that I have to go through and the thought processes I have to understand before I implement this power. And it's really cool. And that's why I think Nin might be the best hard magic system that's ever been created.
I do love Nin,
anime and manga.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, dang. I wonder if that means that the anime is going to come back with an original story then, Kenny. Is that what it sounded like?
Possibly. It sounded like he didn't want to send Gon and Killua off the way he did.
That seems so interesting. I mean, especially since he hasn't brought them back in the manga, really. So I wonder why now? Like, why in anime form? Why not in the manga itself? Why, I wonder what's going through his head with that. Especially just because, like, I don't know how much longer he's really going to keep trying to, like, do this, Like, his son is supposedly a really good artist and could totally take over for him. Obviously, he's married to Naoko Takuchi, so it's like his wife could literally draw Hunter for him if need be. I mean, she's freaking the artist of Sailor Moon, artist and creator of Sailor Moon. It's like they have the system in place to get the rest of the story out if Tagashi's written it. So why not give it to us in manga form? I just don't know what he's thinking, but that's really interesting, especially since Hunter is like, ever since we've talked about this before, but ever since the 2012 anime or 2011, whenever it came out, it became a huge heavy hitter in the shonen genre that it wasn't before. It was very low key. For the first 15, 20 years of its existence, all of a sudden that brand new anime gave it new life, and it became a huge cultural hit. I mean, worldwide, it's become a big deal because of that show. So,
just like JoJo's.
Just like JoJo's. On the other note of news, we have to go back to our darling. I just remembered that we've been talking about this for like almost every podcast. Burn the Witch has wrapped up. If you guys
finished,
if you haven't read it, it's over. So all 4 chapters are now released. So you can read those in their entirety. And Kubo has already said, he's like, I'm going to write some more. He's like, I'll be back for another part.
Let me tell you, it ended on a cliffhanger. So.
Yeah,
it did.
This Kubo piece of work, he said, I'll be back. I got more. And I'm like,
I know.
Like, what a
called it from a mile away.
Yeah, I'm like, what a fool ass. He really full of himself.
Bro, like, it ended so cliffhangery that it was upsetting. Like, it was like, so funny. Oh, you introduced this and this, and oh, that's it. Okay, cool.
What a punk, honestly. That just cracks me up. I saw something that he said in an interview, like, he kind of misses being a weekly Shonen Jump author or something like that. He misses the feeling of it. And so... If he made this, like, an actual, like, continuous series, he would be the top. He would be the top weekly manga. He'd be back again. No doubt. I'm calling it. Baby. He would be the top. Kubo's back, baby.
Nothing's better than Chainsaw Man.
Oh, shush.
No.
I need to read Chainsaw Man to
try it. I've only read the first, like, 30 chapters, David, and it's honestly really good. It's totally a Shonen Jump hit, and it's going to be a massive hit when they turn it into an anime. I mean, I'm just calling it right now. When Chainsaw Man gets animated, if one of those good companies gets a hold of it,
David Production,
if David, honestly, or A1 Pictures, or UFO Table, or freaking Bones or any of those ones.
David Production might be busy with Fire Force and JoJo's.
That's true, but they obviously are big on shonen, so you never know. If they want it, they might go for it.
No.
It would be good.
Mm-hmm. So
and Chainsaw Man is so good.
And Kenny, what is Chainsaw Man at chapter-wise, number-wise?
93, I think.
Okay,
was the last one.
I would not
100.
It wouldn't.
Yeah,
if it breaks that 100 mark, I think there's a pretty solid chance that we'll hear from an anime adaptation, or we'll hear news of an anime adaptation.
I do think there's a possibility it may be ending, but I don't know. I can't. I think that the story is so erratic and enigmatic that it could be ending or it could be continuing.
Right.
It's so good.
If it ends, it ends. I mean, then it gets to go out on its own terms.
Animate that shit, yeah.
I'm sure it'll still get animated just due to the massive. It's a massively popular hit right now, so I fully expect that to still be on the way. So yeah, Burn the Witch, Chainsaw Man, Shonen Jump is knocking it out of the park. Not a lot of things outside of that and webtoons are really knocking it out of the park lately. We aren't seeing a lot of massive shoujo hits really knocking it out. I guess Fruits Basket is back on, for those of you that are shoujo fans. Fruits Basket is back with his second season of the faithful adaptation. Fruits Basket Brotherhood, as I'll call it. No,
not wrong.
It's for real though. But so we do have Fruits Basket back again, but that's like a classic, and they're just like, we're running out of ideas. Let's pump it out, do another anime version. I feel like most of the other anime genres are not real. I mean, isekai is the worst thing to ever be created.
There's 4 new isekais every season.
Yeah, every season the world is just drowned by more shitty isekai. I have no words for the amount of absolute trash that they just keep pumping out. Isekai is the worst. And on that note,
Perfect segue.
Well, I mean, we can talk about one more thing. I kind of want to talk about a genre that I really like that I don't think gets animated very often, and I'll tell you about my favorite one. But there's a genre of manga that are phone games, like
oh no!
I would say that Future
David,
Diaries.
He's talking about phone games, dude. We gotta get
like
Future
Diaries or Muneyuki was similar to, but it always ends in these sort of gory, like you're a part of this phone game, and guess what? The only way to progress, if you don't progress, you die, and you explode. And there are a ton of manga that are like this.
What's that one? Is this the one you were just watching?
What?
I thought you just told me about one. It got delayed due to Corona.
Well, Darwin's Game is similar to that.
Darwin's Game, yeah, Darwin's Game.
I would say Darwin's Game is one of my favorite monthly mangas. I read every single month.
We should watch it, David. We should watch the anime.
The animation isn't very good, and it doesn't. The art is really good in the manga.
We should read the manga, David. We should read the manga.
It's really upsetting, but there's one manga called As the Gods Will, and
God, yeah, you were talking about this.
It's one of my favorite. Yeah, As the Gods Will by Muneyuki Kaneshiro, and one thing, he's an author but not an artist, but all of his manga tend to have similar looking characters, and so I don't know if he does the designs but doesn't actually do the art portion, like the week to week basis. But I love them because you're introduced to all these characters in each arc, each little portion, each game, each phone. You're like, oh, we're a part of this game or whatever, and you're connected, and you're introduced to all these characters, and every single, only the main character makes it through that portion, and so all of them just die, and then you're introduced to 20 new characters and all kinds of shit. And I really like. Is
it kind of like Gaunt's in a way of new people every round or whatever?
Similar to, and I think that a lot of manga do that, but in the phone game style, no matter what, each arc is new characters except for our main character. And the thing that I like the most about Kaneshiro is he creates this crazy, insane, absolutely batshit crazy Lancer character that's the best friend to our main. So our main character is a classic shonen protagonist, but they're a little bit crazy. But his Lancer is almost. I would say that the Lancer is genuinely and wholesomely in love with the main character, and he's just as crazy. Where he's we gotta kill these people. I'm gonna fucking kill them, and I love you. And you're like, wait, what? And it's
this is Muneyuki.
But it's two boys every time.
Interesting.
And he has this
Muneyuki.
And he has a
Muneyuki, but even more boobs.
But with boys love.
Oh, boys love. You say minus the boobs, more boys.
No girls,
no
boys,
boobs, just boys.
He's currently doing a manga that's called Blue Lock, and it's similar in how it works, but there's no death at the end. Nobody's dying. They just get kicked out of this. It's like a soccer facility. But I love how anti-shonen the climaxes are. How in Hunter x Hunter, whenever Gon turns into this huge man and he's dark.
Hunter spoilers.
Second time.
But he turns into this huge, like, dark, enigmatic, creature. And in Kaneshiro's works, it's like his main characters come to these sort of evil, gross climaxes to take over and win. And it's so well done, so well drawn.
And Kitty, this is just a manga, right? There's no anime for any of your stuff.
There's a live action movie. And actually, in As the Gods Will, he has a first series, and then all the main characters die at the end of it. And then he has a second series of a second group of people playing the same game, but they just progress farther than the characters from the original story. And so it's, I don't know, it's very cool.
It sounds like a classic, like a battle royale type of thing.
It almost is, yeah. And it I don't know. I really like his art. The art for the artists that they get for these mangas are great. In Blue Lock, especially, I think some of the best work I've ever seen. But his character designs are so him. I know that if you read Grass Rose or Jagan or I think those are the only ones I've read. But his characters are so original, and the just the way that they come to their climaxes are so anti-shonen, but unbelievably shonen. They're like, I'm going to overcome because I'm bigger, stronger, better, and they're evil almost. It's like they love and it's because in a lot of those scenarios they have to kill other people or they have to push through to accomplish their goals, and it's just I love the idea of.
I wonder how he's avoided getting any anime adaptations. Like, why none of his work has been...
It sounds interesting. I want to check out the manga.
Yeah,
I think that
the art looks really nice, David.
Yeah, it's very cool stuff. And I love how, like, it's... Some of these dark manga panels are so shonen. How oftentimes in shonen they're big, like, explosions and, shonen moments. Like, whenever Luffy fucking, punches.
Well, his style looks very just like Shonen Jump. It just looks like that.
Yeah, the art's really good.
Yeah.
Whenever like Luffy punches Arlong, and it's so
spoilers
cool.
for One Piece.
Yeah, One Piece spoilers.
But whenever he comes to a climax, it's dark, it's black, and it's evil, but it's still shonen. It's still unbelievably shonen.
Right.
They're still coming to this sort of I overcame because of friendship or my desire. But I don't know. I would implore you to check out As the Gods Will. Just read the first one, and if you don't like it, don't get into it. It's more the same for the second one, but the first one's only like 40 chapters, and then the second one I think is almost 200. Or Blue Lock is a soccer manga. And it's so if you like, I'm a big sports manga guy, and so I think if you enjoy that type of thing, I think it doesn't often make it to anime. I know that there are a couple other ones that are not as good that I've checked out, and they just they don't often make it into anime form. And I was happy that Darwin's Game made it, but I do think the animation just didn't quite come through. Whenever the art in that manga is really good.
You know what they should bring back? iShield 21.
Bro,
reanimate that shit.
If they reanimate, because
the old one had a lot of
caught up. Yeah, and it got caught up in the 90s style of animation. Whenever Yusuke Murata has genuinely some of the best art exists.
It's like what I consider iShield 21. It's like an anime that got stuck with the what I consider like the early 2000s computer generated anime, where everything looks really stale. Pretty much everything that's done in that time period from about 2000 to about 2010, you kind of have this like long period of anime where the animes just all looked very stiff and very like low details. And actually, the show we're talking about tonight, I think, unfortunately, faced the same issue despite coming out a little bit later than most of those other shows.
Should we talk about Log Horizon now, Jerry? You want to start?
I think it's time. Yeah. Well, I want to say
let's talk about Log Horizon.
I do want to say Muneyuki Kaneshiro. It's really interesting. It's cool to see that you mentioned it, Kenny, but then I forgot it. But all of his stuff is drawn by different people. He just writes it.
Yeah. But his characters look the same. That's what I don't know if he does or if he tells his artists to draw the characters like that. But I recognize every time, because I sort of just troll on manga. Like I just scroll through and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting, and I'll click a couple things. And every time I've read his stuff, I'm like, oh, this is the same guy.
This is Kaneshiro.
It's super clear that this is his work.
That's so interesting.
Like I said, the characters all look very similar. I could show you some characters between.
I was just flipping through all this stuff, but yeah. So if you're a manga fan, you want to read new mangas, go check out anything by Muneyuki Kaneshiro. It looks like none of his work has ever been adapted. Could be a really fun thing to look at. But yes, it is time, my boys. Let's get in to our first show, or our only show this week, since we're doing a movie for our second review. Our only show this week, which is the fabled Log Horizon. This is a show that
David... I'm sorry I recommended this.
David put forward, and for good reason. I would say that Log Horizon has a pretty strong cult following. I think that there's a pretty good amount of fans out there for Log Horizon. It got two seasons pretty quickly back to back in, I believe it was like 2014 and 2015, something like that. So 2 seasons that came pretty quickly back to back. And much to my surprise, it is coming back for a 3rd season in 2021. So early 2021, Log Horizon is actually getting a 3rd season. I have no idea what it's going to be like, especially after...
Only 12 episodes.
So that's going to be interesting. And for those who don't know, it is based off of a light novel. So Log Horizon does have...
As most isekai are.
Yeah, as most isekai are. This is its basis is in light novel instead of manga. There is a manga version of it now. Usually after an anime comes out, there's a manga that comes out too, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But yeah, so we've got Log Horizon light novel. Kenny, as per the usual, you want to give us the overview and rundown of our first show this week. Log Horizon. Tell us about. Oh, and if you want to watch Log Horizon, it is available on Hulu, Crunchyroll. I think it's on Netflix too. I don't know. It's on a lot of platforms. So
it is on a lot of them.
Fully dubbed and subbed on most of those platforms. So check it out there.
So Log Horizon is your standard isekai fare. It is sort of that new style isekai where they're inside of a game world. They're in I don't even remember the name of it.
Elder Tale.
And a new expansion has just launched at 12 a.m. and they're all sucked into the game. And so the first thing that is different is that in this isekai, if they die, they don't die. Guess what? They just come back to life at the sanctuary. Mm-hmm. So in episode 1 and 2, and even episode 2, like the main point of the episode is they're like, people are bored. There's nothing to do. They're like, what are we supposed to do? Nobody's doing anything because if you die, you just get resurrected. We don't need to eat. They don't know that food is, they can't make food tasty yet. And so we get introduced to this guy, Shiroi. And he was a part of a small group that did a lot of large-scale raids. And they never were a part of guilds. They were sort of all lone wolves in their own respects. And some of them started guilds after, and some of them sort of, just faded into obscurity, or they stopped playing the game, or they moved away in one character's case. And so Shiroi sort of is this respected tactician who is capable of using small parties to accomplish really big, strong goals. And so the whole point of the show is how they learn to live in this new world, in this game world, and how they interact with. And I think the strongest part of the show that isn't touched on enough and totally sits on the back burner, because let's be honest, this is just a power fantasy isekai about, how to beat big monsters and be the strongest guys, and you're the best tactician or whatever. But I think the best driving point is that the NPC characters are no longer NPCs. They are real, very much alive characters. And yes, they aren't adventurers, but they are people, at least, to each other. And if they die forever. And so I think that should have been the best, most driving point of the show, where these immortal adventurers come to terms with the fact that these characters that they've never treated with respect are now real human characters, and you can't sort of do that to them anymore. But no, it's just so Shiroe and his friend Naotsugu, who was a part of the group, the Debauchery Tea Party, and he meets up with a cat who was their chief, Nyata, and he has an assassin who's like a chibi, like she's like a lolly girl, but guess what? She's fully grown. But then there's another character that is also a lolly girl, but I'm pretty sure they said she's a middle schooler, so that's pretty weird.
Almost definitely a little kid. That's definitely a little kid.
Little kid.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's them playing this game and learning how to live in this world. That's
basic ass characters, shit plot, the worst opening I've ever seen. Worst opening I've ever seen. Database is the worst opening out of all the anime that we've covered. Skip it. I heard the first episode, and this is the first time.
You know what the worst part is?
I made sure to skip it every single time.
I was fully expecting it to switch after 13 episodes, or at least switch when season 2
I was waiting
started.
for the switch. It doesn't.
It doesn't even switch.
Switches.
Season 2 still has the same opening. They used it for all 50 episodes. They said, we are database fans. And I was like, what is happening? I hate that song, dude. Please. For all that's holy, that song is a skip every time. I said, skip. I would not even be paying attention while I was watching it, and I'd still go over and skip. I was like, I can't listen to this.
Bro, the whole after episode 6 or 7, I would just have the anime on while I was playing games. I don't think I've fully committed my entire attention span to a full episode after episode 8.
No way. Yeah, I think that I made it to episode 11.
And I feel like I didn't even miss anything.
Yeah, I made it to episode 11, I think, before I finally. And this is the worst part. I gotta admit this. So the first 11 episodes I watched subtitled. After episode 12. I was like, I cannot just sit here and watch this show. I have to be doing something else. So I switched to the dub. So from episode 12 to 25, I watched it dubbed. And oh my Jesus Christ. It was a dookie sandwich, if I do say so myself. It was a straight dookie.
The dub's bad?
Okay, so the dub is so bad. Now, Naotsugu, that's, I don't know why, or the context, at one point he just looks at everyone, he goes, man, guys, we're in a real dookie sandwich here. And I was like, oh my god.
Did you really say that?
Bro, yes.
No!
Nyanta in the dub, for some reason that I have yet to decipher, they decided to make Nyanta black. So I don't know what the thought process was there. But because, and obviously he's a cat. You don't know if he's black or white. They could have just had a black guy play him, and that would have been fine. But instead they slung in all these what I would consider kind of offensive stereotypes. Was he speaking Ebonics or something? Yes, he does. For some reason in the dub, he throws in things like, oh, this is Gucci, or they would sneak in these little what I would consider kind of racially insensitive phrases for Nyanta to say, so that we know he's a black guy. Okay, just Nyanta's a black guy, which is so strange because clearly he doesn't say that stuff in the Japanese dub.
Right, and
he says meow, and other normal stuff.
So he says, he goes meow and stuff.
All of his cat stuff is gone. Instead, they've replaced it with slang, slang words to give.
Who the fuck dubbed?
I don't know
what studio dubbed this.
I actually don't know which studio did the dub. But guys, other than that, most of the plot was intact in the dub. Usually a dub, keeping the plot intact is the most important part, and it all stayed there. But I was just really disappointed by some of the script choices that they made in the dub when it came to some of the, because I'm okay when a dub takes their time to translate a turn a phrase or translate something that wouldn't work as well in or it works really well in Japanese but wouldn't work as well in English, and transforms it into something new that in the English language would make a lot of sense. But
a good example is in the movie that we're going to talk about, the short scene where she says I as feminine, and then she's and she has to go through each of the until she ore. Yeah. They're like which that couldn't translate into English because she used the feminine and then just
honestly, we all watched the movie subtitled though, didn't we? Has any of us watched the dub? Okay. Did you watch the dub, David?
I watched the dub.
Okay.
No, wait.
I'm curious. Do you remember what she did during that part?
I think she just stuttered.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. It was the scene where she first is with her two boyfriend, or she's in the guy's body, and she's first with the two guys on top of the roof talking about it, and she actually uses.
We'll talk about it later. Log Horizon.
Yeah.
We'll get to it later.
But it's a good example that cannot translate.
Right, and so I'm sure that when Naotsugu's character said that the situation was a dookie sandwich, I didn't go check, but I have a suspicion that he probably used some sort of popular phrase that would have only worked in Japanese. That's my guess. So the English writers were probably trying to say, "Oh, we'll switch it for some sort of English phrase that makes sense." But here's the deal: nobody says dookie sandwich. I was like, maybe had they said shit sandwich, it would have made more sense, right? I feel like I've at least heard a human being say, "Oh, this is a shit sandwich." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I've heard that somewhere, but I just
giant douche or a turd sandwich.
Yeah, right. But dookie sandwich, like where, like what, like what?
They could have just said this sucks.
Yeah, right. They could have switched that for any other possible of the hundreds of phrases that English audiences use for we're in a bad situation, and instead they use dookie sandwich, and I was like, it's just not even at all what Naotsugu's character would say. It just felt super weird. And I get it, Naotsugu's supposed to be kind of the jovial one. He's sort of the fun one, but yeah, sorry. Huge rant about dookie sandwich. Dub gang is dookie sandwich gang. I'm not about that.
And I do think a lot of those weird quirks about them, like Naotsugu being like, he like talks about panties, and Nyanta has the nya and the meows. I think that those go away more as the show progresses, because it's just like, they're like weird quirks that aren't fucking important at all.
Right. No, you're totally right. They
become like...
Well, Naotsugu's comes back every once in a while. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the plot of Log Horizon. I think that's the first thing I want us to touch on.
And wait, there's one more... There were a lot of weird, like, how they did that weird thing with Nyanta in English. Y'all didn't make it to Season 2, but there's a character, Tetra, in Season 2, who's a male character that is dressed... And they don't actually call her the term, but it's heavily implied. And so it's just like, there's a lot of weird things that I guess socially over here, I don't think we accept as much, and maybe over there it's okay. But yeah, the fact that the age difference with Minori, and the fact that they do that with Tetra, and I don't know. There's just some weird, like... Yeah. Like,
yeah, the show has some... About this. So, again, I want to start with the plot of Log Horizon, right? So, it starts as your standard isekai, right? The characters wake up in another world. This time it's a video game world specifically, which has been done many times before, right? But instead of focusing on a character that is the battle-hardened or like the superhero type, our lead becomes Shiroe, right? And his character is a strategist. He's not a fighter. So immediately, while there are some pretty cool-looking fights in the early episodes, by around episode, like 5 or 6, suddenly the entire show becomes like diplomats. So we're getting roundtable conferences, long discussions for 20 minutes straight, strategy plans, lots of funny things where like people are doing stuff, and it like clips back to Shiroe, and he's like plugging away at paperwork on his desk. Yeah. So we immediately lose any like semblance of an isekai. Generally at that point, we already are in this like, okay, this is the, every isekai has to find its like its thing, whether you're trapped in another world with your mom or you're trapped in the body of a slime. For Log Horizon, its thing is that we're trapped into the world, but our lead characters are strategists, which is already the most fucking boring thing I've ever heard. Right out of the gate, that's the lamest shit I've ever heard. I was like, oh, this is gonna be so lame. I was like, there's no way. But then, part of me thought, okay, maybe they'll find a great way, and it'll be like Death Note-esque. It'll be such a cool strategy chess battle that we are going to be engaged and enthralled in it, and we're going to be so soaked up in that idea of like, this is psychological warfare, so on and so forth. But no, not at all.
Nope.
This is a cooking show and a booby show, and occasionally they fight goblins sometimes.
Like every single time where he like has a plan, like cooking up, it's like the same shot of him pushing up his glasses.
Yep.
And it's just white, and then everyone's like, Shiroe's got an idea or something, and then he saves the day with
logic.
Facts and logic.
Yeah.
Fucking facts and logic. Strategy. He just saves the day.
He's like, we just flank him. I don't know.
And the whole show also is pretty hyper-focused on being... It almost takes away the idea of it being an isekai. And Kenny mentioned this earlier. When the characters die, they just come back to life. And for the most part, they're unaffected by the fact that they're in this video game. Like, by episode
they do
2,
lose their memory, though, when they die.
Right. We later do learn that. The memory situation.
In season 2, it goes pretty in depth into exactly how much they lose.
Right.
And it's like
I remember
literally bullshit.
Krusty saying that he was...
I forgot my cat's name.
Yeah, near the end of season 1, he's like, oh, we died a bunch right when we got in here because we just kept killing each other to see what was up. And I forgot my cat, kind of. And he was like, so it's probably nothing. I was like, what the hell? I was like, he's already died a bunch and he's pretty much fine still. So no negative impact. Still knows he's a human being. Right.
Shiroe dies in season 2, and he forgets the name of a restaurant in his city that he grew up.
Oh my god.
That's the memory he has to give up.
Shiroe in the restaurant.
And it's actually, they technically give up a memory to be resurrected. They can continue to exist on the like revival plane or whatever.
Right.
But they give up a memory to be resurrected, and
it's like a specific memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like Akatsuki forgets she was running at one point for some reason, forgot why.
Huh.
And you're like, oh, these are like, I thought it would be like, oh, I forgot my cat, no, it's like,
well, I was under the assumption when they introduced this concept about halfway through the first season, they introduced that there is supposed to be some merit to them, like dying, like they need to be careful, right? I thought we were going to get to the point where we were going to learn that adventurers had died so many times that they no longer remember that they're from another world, that they are from somewhere else. But that they immediately took that. There was no stakes. This show had no stakes. It had no buy-in because people die, they come back to life. People get kidnapped, they get saved by Shiroe. We can get. Do we need $8 billion? Fine, who cares? We can get $8 billion. The money had no consequence. Food had no consequence. There was no consequence at all in this show, at all. And the plot...
basically a utopia.
Yeah, I was like, what the... So, when Shiroe near the end of season 1, maybe in the last episode of season 1, says, like, the least concerning thing to me is getting back to the real world, I was like, this is stupid. I was like, that should be the ever-foreboding... Like, to make the show more relevant, or at least the plot more relevant... There needs to be an overarching sense of, like, finality. There's something that has to be that end goal or that thing. But the show just doesn't do that. It kind of revels in being more of a fantasy show than an isekai. Where in an isekai, the relationship between being stuck in the world and wanting to get back sort of has a bearing on the character's will. But not in this show. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they're there. It doesn't matter who they are. They can accept NPCs in their guilds. They can do whatever they want. They can revive NPCs with black magic. I don't know, dude.
Right. That was in season 1. That was the most emotional moment. He sacrifices, and you're like, oh, of course, he's a person of the land. He's been teaching himself magic. He has a fucking last name. House Code. He's not Krusty or Shiroe or Akatsuki. He's Rundle House Code. He was born and raised here.
Yeah.
Whenever Rudy truly was like, some people sacrifice their lives, and I think that it might have been stronger if he truly did die.
I 100% thought they should have killed him. I was like, just kill him. I was like, I don't care. I was like, let Rundle House die.
You don't care about Rudy?
Yeah, I was like, do something that matters. Like,
yeah,
that would have been important because they were protecting a people of Land City, and they could have seen the actual true, like this is a fact. These people die and they pass on.
Yeah,
we have to protect them.
They tried in the first season to introduce that as sort of the foreboding, right? Around episode 10 or 11, they're like, oh, the people of land don't like adventurers. And so I was like, oh, there it is. There's our consequence. Maybe there's something that's going to have to do with where they live, how they stay in being. But Krusty, like, seduces the little girl princess in, like, one episode. And then all of a sudden, they're, like, best friends.
Yeah, there was so much build-up to, like, a war between the adventurers and people of the land. So I thought there was going to be, like a lot of action happening soon. And then none of that happened.
Yeah, the action
and then
was
goblins
Krusty,
attack.
Dude. Yeah, the goblins attack.
Goblin Slayer?
Yeah. I was like, is this really goblins? I was like, are they really just going to make them fight goblins now? And they did. Like, legitimately, there were 2 or 3 episodes, they just fought goblins. I was like,
the episode where they fought the goblins was literally the exact same episode of Goblin Slayer when they convinced an entire guild to go fight an army of goblins.
Yeah,
it's like the exact same thing.
They're just fighting goblins. Yeah. Oh my god, yo.
Man, you would hate I hope you know the season 2, the main overall plot is like they find a way to get home, and Shirway is like, well, are people going to want to go or are they going to want to stay? And then guess what the conclusion is to that thought? I want you guys to guess right now. What is the conclusion to the thought of, I don't know if we should make it so that everybody returns home because some people like it?
Well, Shirway already mentioned in season 1 that he doesn't think that's the most prescient issue. So my assumption is he doesn't think that they need to be focusing on that.
Yeah, I just assume no one gives a shit.
Yeah. They have a clear, here's what happens. They have a clear way of like figuring out how to get home. And he gets a call from the Tea Party's, she's on the Chinese server, and there's an episode about her. And he gets a call from her, and she has a young daughter who's 3 years old, and she's like, I want to show her this, so just connect the 2 worlds. Make it so we can go back and forth. That's the conclusion. That's the answer that he was looking for.
Here we go, guys.
He was like,
what does that mean?
I just connect the worlds. I want to be able to go back and forth.
Bro, just connect them.
Yeah, because he was like, are people going to want to go? Because it was sort of like, I may be able to get everybody home, but that's it. Like, I could only do it one way. And he was like, well, I guess I never thought about just making it so you can go both ways.
Oh, my God. That's great.
Because, like, the Isuzu wants to, like, show things to Rudy, and Rudy, wants to meet her parents or some shit. I do like their love story is kind of cute.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're the cutest romance, honestly.
Yeah,
but Rudy can't go into the real world though.
Yeah, he can.
What?
He's an adventurer.
Bitch, he was born in the game.
Yeah, but they're gonna connect the worlds. That's the whole point. They're gonna connect the world.
Does that happen in the season, Kenny, or no?
No, but that's his answer. He's like, okay,
it's like implied.
I'm gonna try to work towards that. That's
the end goal becomes something that didn't exist in season 1. So season 2, he establishes, I want to connect these worlds so that we can travel freely.
He's just ones and zeros.
That's interesting. They finally get to there after 50 episodes. But I think that the big thing about this show, I have to describe it as it's the type of... surprisingly, I watched the whole season, and I never was like desperately bored enough to turn it off. It's like one of those shows that works perfect as background noise. And, there's not as concise of a plot. There's sort of standalone episodes that are just sort of adventuring, doing stuff in this world. The setting is pretty cool. It's not bad. And so because of that, you've got some like moderately fun, sort of cliche type characters, right? So you've got Akatsuki, you've got Nyante, you've got Naotsugu. These characters, especially Rundle House, and just about all of them sort of fit like a role. So these characters are kind of fun to like see adventure and do stuff with. And it makes the perfect like background noise while you're doing something. But it's just not a show that really has any purpose or... the one thing I kept telling myself was like, does this show have a reason to have been written? Is this going to do something? Like, if people watch this, they're going to be like, wow, yeah, that was a good show. Like, that was something I wanted to really watch. Like, with Erased, Erased has themes, it has meaning, it has purpose. a lot of the shows we've watched for this podcast and just in general, we watch them because they connect with us. They do something to connect with us. This is like bubblegum pop background filler. Like, this is like, it doesn't really have a lot of connections. There are a couple sweet moments, cool moments, cute moments, stuff like that. But it's mostly shrouded in sort of a wandering monster of the week type adventure story that is fun if you're just trying to have some fun and like let loose. But really is not life-changing or game-changing. It's not that type of show is the way that I perceived it. David, what do you think?
So instead of Monster of the Week, you should say Monster of the Year, because there's only just one monster in the entire, not one monster, but like one like battle in the first season.
They don't even be battling shit. Like, it's so annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, So okay, I'm gonna rate this show hella low just for just for
he's prepping them. He's prepping them cheeks.
Yeah, but the coolest thing that I thought that this show had, and I thought would have been like, it could have been saving grace, but like it was just like not touched on it. Like, I feel like as much as it should have, was the whole like RPG system of of the game. Because like times where they talked about it, I was really interested. I would like pay attention to like how they're explaining, HP and MP and like all these like the leveling system and how everything works in the world, and which is like I've only watched like Sword Art, so that's like my experience of isekai. Right. But when I think of it isekai and I think of like being in a video game, I want to know everything, all of the like how that video game works. So the times when it was touched on, I was like, okay, I'm interested, but it only really happened like the first few times, like a few times in the first few episodes.
Yeah.
And then maybe like a little bit in like the middle, and then after like episode 13 or 14, it wasn't really touched on that much.
Yeah.
Because then they started getting more into like the diplomatic stuff and
the drama of it.
Right. So like once I realized that they're likely not going to get back to this stuff, they're going to focus more on everything else, I was like, yeah, that's it.
That's it. Check out.
This show is absolute
yeah.
I'm about to say, I think there's like 3 festivals that happen. Like, it's so just...
Jerry!
What?
Jerry, why was there an episode? Why was there an entire 24-minute episode where Shiroi is being fought over by Akatsuki and the other girl for feeding cake.
I almost turned it off.
Go to the cake buffet.
I almost turned it off.
Like,
the fact that they wrapped up the goblin fight so fast. I thought the goblin fight was going to like last to the end of the season. Nope.
It was like 2 episodes.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden we're like feeding Shiroi cake, and I was like, what am I watching? I texted Kenny, I think, and I was like, is this a harem? Am I watching a harem? Is it a harem now?
All isekais have to have harem aspects. Okay, it's part of the genre.
Oh,
it took 2 episodes to defeat an entire army of goblins and fish monsters.
Yep.
But 1 episode to eat an entire cake buffet.
Bro, I don't think he likes cake that much. They kept saying that. I don't think he likes cake that much.
He doesn't. But they just kept forcing. They were fighting over him for some reason.
We want to feed you cake.
Feed you cake, Shiroi. I lost it, David. I almost didn't finish season 1 after that, but I was like, I'm too far in. I have to finish season 1.
Yeah.
But that's when I just was like, are you kidding me? I was like, is this? It just, and Shiroi was like uninterested. His character didn't seem to have any romantic interest throughout the whole show. Akatsuki clearly had a crush on him since the beginning, but the relationship wasn't well developed. I mean, and then all of a sudden you've got a child fighting for his affection, which was also kind of weird. Like, Minori is, at least to our understanding, she's a child, while at least Akatsuki and Shiroi are like the same age.
Right. Yeah, like 22, 21.
Right, they're implied to be like, well, I think they're both considered, or I think he said that he's a grad student at one point. So,
he's like finishing his stuff to go into his career field.
Yeah, he's like in his master's degree or something. So I don't know. I was just like, this is interesting, I guess. But the cake stuff was where I just was like, this is a harem now, and I don't know. I guess we got to pick best girls. Who was our best girls from Log Horizon, boys? Who was your best girl? Who was your waifu of Log Horizon?
Can we legit though say like favorite character?
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm being serious. Let's do it. Who is it? Character? Yeah. Who'd you like?
Nyanta.
Yeah.
He's a cool.
They did good with Nyanta. I didn't have any. Yeah, except that he was black in the dub, dude.
Jerry, favorite character?
My favorite character from the show was probably Akatsuki. I think that and she was my waifu from the show too. I think if I had to pick one, I thought she was dope. You know, a little bit aloof, a little bit comical, has her moments, kind of sticks in character. Thought that was sort of a cutesy aspect of her, but just enough for me to go like, yeah, she's pretty cool. And she kind of kicked ass, so like, I was like, I kind of.
She was overpowered as fuck.
She was.
She one shot everybody.
Yeah, she was pretty.
There was another cool thing. They like talked about the classes. They had like half an entire episode. They talked about all the classes and subclasses. I was like, this is so interesting. And then that was it.
Yeah.
But
they did that so often actually in the first season, David, where it would like cut away to explain some sort of mechanic in this game world, and then that game mechanic would have like no bearing on the episode.
Anything that they do,
yeah. It would just be like, here's more about the game world. But it doesn't matter. And I liked to watch that get fleshed out. Most isekais don't take that time. The only mechanic that really ended up being important was the fact that they can't taste food, and they discovered they have to cook it themselves. That mechanic was valuable information that aided
the subclass
the plot. That actually like gave us some plot development at some point.
You can make things with your subclass if you just actually make it and not just select it in the menu.
And that was like, okay, cool. That's cool. But yeah, most of the other like mechanic stuff hasn't had any bearing, at least up to the end of season 1. Maybe it gets a little more technical in season 2. Right. I assume
the raid is kind of interesting. Like it explains a lot of raid shit.
Right. But I assume that we get little snippets of that from this point forward, but I think it's just to try to convince us that this is like, it's a fun video game.
Like to remind us, by the way, we're in a video game.
Yeah, like this is not fantasy. This is a game. Everyone's trapped here, but everyone's okay with it.
They introduce these things called teachings, which are like, if you understand the core mechanic of ability, it can like grow into a new ability. So,
that's cool. See, like
Akatsuki has a move where she turns invisible or she blinks. And so then she learns her teaching, which like lets her use her attack move while also blinking. And so she uses like this crazy shadow clone move. But like then it's
Naruto now?
Are cool.
Yes, dude. She's a ninja.
Or like one of the shrine maidens uses barriers as platforms instead of just as damage barriers. The teachings are kind of cool, but like it's like not important. And then they just win. And then
Kenny, who's your favorite character?
Rundle House Code.
Oh yeah.
He's my favorite character.
That's a Kenny character.
Rudy is so good. He's the most like. He has the only driving force behind him. He's the only shonen character. He wanted to be better. He wanted to be an adventurer. He said,
he has the best character arc season 1.
Yeah, I'm a personal
the only character arc.
The only character. Right.
And my waifu, honestly, Hime, bro. She's.
Wait, who?
Lanestia Hime, bro. Whenever they put her in
the princess.
Yeah.
You and Krusty, dude. You guys are gonna.
I love it. His name's fucking Krusty. I just.
What's the name of the Crescent Moon Guild Master?
Who?
Soji. Oh, Soji.
Soji. Yeah, the samurai.
No, the Crescent Moon.
What's the Crescent?
Marielle.
Is it
Marielle?
Oh, no. Oh, Marielle.
Marielle would be my wife.
Marielle was
Maria.
Yo, honestly, but Akatsuki was I liked her, but Marielle also,
Marielle.
They gave her them big titties.
Cool.
Tig old bitties.
Oh my god.
They did give Marielle them tig old bitties, dude. That's crazy. But yeah, I think that the only other thing that we should really, so the plot was a mess and it doesn't exist. There was no stakes. All this stuff. So we got to talk about some of the other technical aspects of the show. Art, animation, music. What do you guys think? What did you guys think about those?
All middle of the road.
Ass, dick, butt, shit.
Okay.
Dookie sandwich.
No. Dookie sandwich. No, I think it was just normal. Just okay.
Yeah, like the animation was meh. I mean, there wasn't really like a lot of moments for him to show off off the animation. I mean, the Goblin War was a perfect opportunity, but it, like when sorcerers were like doing their spells, like when Rudy was doing his spells, like the animation seemed pretty all right.
Yeah.
Music, I mean, there wasn't any like instrumentals that were memorable to me. Right. The opener was dog shit. The ending was like, I skipped it every time too.
Yeah.
Even though I kind of like the ending, but it wasn't. Yeah. I didn't like it enough to like listen to it and like sing along.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it.
Yeah.
Database.
That's how I feel about this whole show. I was just like, I don't dislike it.
Meh. No, yeah, I think with the art and animation, I kept thinking it like looks like Digimon to me, or like, you know what I mean, like sort of the blocky, cartoony sort of anime style, which you don't see very often. And I kind of was thinking that the way, but then also like, you know, I'm kind of a stickler for animation, and this show liked to reuse shots for some reason, like more frequently.
So much.
I don't know why. It was like they would make one animation loop, and anytime they felt like they could use it again, they'd sneak it in, and it started to kind of like bother me. I was like, why are they doing this? I was like, yeah, are these like, is it just low budget? Like, what is happening here?
In season 2, there's a 45-second scene where it shows Akatsuki running in a circle. Like, she's like, her memory that she loses is, why am I running? And she runs, so the scene is like, she runs up the flight of stairs, and then it cuts to another, and she runs up a flight of stairs, and then it cuts back to the first bit, and she runs up the flight of stairs, and I swear to you, this is a 45-second scene.
That's too long.
Just a repeat of that set of animation. And her running up 2 flights of stairs.
I caught it earlier that they like to reuse shots. They like the art. I was like, the character designs are not too bad. I think they're unique. They look nice. I didn't think they were too bad, but the animation really got me a couple times where I was just like, this.
Here. I got some fun facts for y'all. So season 1 of Lock Horizon was animated by Satelight.
Oh man.
They did the first 175 episodes of Fairy Tail.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not seeing anything else that's really stand out.
Yeah.
They did a lot of like mecha animes. And then season 2 was animated by Studio Dean.
Oh yeah, Dean. We know Dean.
Which has done quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah, Dean's a big deal.
Season 2 is better than season 1.
I didn't realize it switched studios. That's interesting.
Yeah, and apparently season 3 is under a different animation studio.
Oh.
Oh wait, I lied. Third season is also by Studio.
Oh, Dean is
going to be by Studio Dean as well.
Dean's keeping it for season 3. Okay, cool. Rock and roll.
I'm about to say,
yeah, Dean we know because they did the piss poor season 3 of Seven Deadly Sins. Studio Dean is our culprit for that.
Yep.
They're known for pretty, I would use the word pretty meh animation, for lack of a better word. And
so they went from a meh studio to probably a more meh studio.
Yeah, literally from one meh studio to another. So the show it doesn't really get the attention it maybe deserves as a animation front. So that's unfortunate.
Does it deserve it though?
I don't know. It makes me wonder what...
I'm not convinced.
Right. The light novels are obviously popular and have been continuously running since 2010. So this series has some sort of fan base and has some interest in it. It makes me wonder, is this a poor adaptation of the source? Or is the source really this, this just like carefree? You know, and that's something I just don't know because I haven't read the light novels. Like, is it this goof, no stakes, no plot sort of mess throughout all of the light novels as well? I have no idea. But if it is, then I don't know why all these people are still on board with it. Because there's so many other isekai out there that are a cut above. There are other isekai that are surely standouts that like, why keep watching Log Horizon? Like, that's right. I kept asking myself like that. I was like, I'm sure there are other isekai I should be watching that are not Log Horizon right now. I was like,
right.
But
Overlord is just better Log Horizon.
Oh yeah, Overlord's got the same.
It's got all the bullshit about like, oh my god, touch me, son.
Yeah.
And he's sort of the bad guy.
Overlord has way more boobies. I'm just gonna say it. It's got better boobies. Better waifus.
I don't disagree with that.
Yep.
That was part of the reason why I started watching Overlord.
Yes,
was because
the kids in this fucking show.
And Overlord has a lot, but I think it's just Overlord doesn't take itself too seriously, so it's funnier when you're watching. There's like genuine comedy involved, while Log Horizon is trying to be serious, with like interjections of comedy, but it's trying to be a legitimate plot. But again, there's no stakes. There's no reason to keep watching it.
I think Overlord's shtick too is just better.
Yeah,
with,
absolutely.
He's so strong that he can do whatever he wants.
Right, as most isekai are. Though.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, boys. Any other last notes on Log Horizon before we rate it?
Let's slap this bitch with a number.
Let's take it home. Take Log Horizon. I'm headed to the Log Horizon. I'm jumping off the debauchery tea party right into a Nyanta full of food. I don't know, guys. Okay.
All right, on three. Wait, on three. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
4.
I'm giving it a 4. David gave it a 2.
I gave that bitch a 2.
David's aggressive.
I gave that bitch a 2.
This one.
David picked it and he gave it a 2. He said,
I picked it. I was I heard good things.
Right.
Maybe I really want to read the light novel though.
Yeah.
Maybe it's so popular because the novel's really good and the anime was just not adapted well. I mean, as we see from the studios that are adapting it, I mean they're kind of missed.
Yeah, that's true.
Based off their track record.
They're definitely not studios known for high quality content or animation. So
right.
Beside the point, that's fine. And I agree with you. I think a 2 is not a bad rating, David. I think I can comfortably say you can give it a 2. And,
and this is, and just for context to you listeners that might be listening and are obsessed with Log Horizon, this is just specifically from what I've seen of the anime adaptation for season 1. Right. I'm sure the light novel is really good. I'm gonna give it a try. Yeah. But I'm sorry, that season 1 anime was ass.
Rough. And I gave it a 4.
You have to
wait, Kenny. What?
What
was that, Kenny?
Light novels. You have so much more adapting, because it's just a novel with some anime manga pictures in between chapters.
Yeah. So are these physical novels or are they all online or both?
Think like a manga, David, but instead of publishing chapters every week that are pictures, they publish chapters I want to say bi-weekly, monthly, but they're novel chapters. So it's published in a very similar style to a manga, so that the chapters come out periodically, and then they'll collect story arcs into single books that you can buy. So it's the same thing. It's a period. It comes out either weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, so on and so forth. The chapters do, and these are short chapters, 20, 30 pages, and then so on and so. Then they collect them into books, and so you could probably go into Barnes and Noble right now and probably find Log Horizon collected editions that you could actually read if you wanted.
If I go to Barnes and Noble and find a Log Horizon book,
you might.
Oh.
I know for sure.
You'll thumb through it and not purchase it.
I'll buy it. If I see it, I'll buy it.
I just saw Shield Hero at Barnes the other day, and I know
Shield Hero's a good one.
I know they have the Slime one. I think that's also a light novel. I think I saw the light novel.
Also a manga though. So
yeah, there are manga adaptations of those as well. But yeah,
so it sounds like with light novels, there's a lot more. It sounds like a better opportunity for them to flesh out things, because if it's primarily words, then a lot more opportunity to just explain things.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I just don't think America has an equivalent. We have traditional comic books here that are kind of an equivalent to manga in Japan, because comic books come out usually monthly. There's a comic book day, new comic book day every month, where issues come out that are usually small collected sort of magazine style. So similar to a manga publication in Japan, but I don't think we really have an equivalent of serialized novels like that, which is so it's kind of a unique thing to Japanese literature. There are definitely things that have existed in the past, like magazine serials, so on and so forth, but definitely nothing that's mainstream or anything that's super popular, that's publishing novels on a chapter by chapter basis. So it is a pretty unique storytelling process. You know what I mean? It's something unique. So, and a lot of anime nowadays are starting to adapt from light novels, not manga.
Because of that bitch ass Sword Art Online.
Yeah, honestly, Sword Art definitely set a solid precedent.
Open the door. Yeah.
So you're getting a lot of that, and it seems like a lot of light novels are isekais. They are fantasy. Fantasies are pretty popular in light novels. So I'm not sure what to kind of take away from that, but we're definitely getting less. What's weird is I miss classic manga adaptations. It's not that classic manga is not coming out in droves still. But animation studios are focusing more on light novels and video games, things like that, adapting other content.
Yeah.
So I do wonder sort of where that is going to lead us. But Log Horizon, it is the most meh and a half meh you'll ever watch. It's isekai trash, and we have just torn it to bits. So let's leave it there. Let's leave Log Horizon on the table. Let's sit it in the back seat, and let's talk about our special talk for tonight, which is that this week all of us watched Your Name.
Makoto
Shinkai's very massively worldwide popular, probably the most popular anime film in the last couple of years. One of the most well acclaimed is the word I would use, and well respected anime movies to come out in a long time. So, David.
So I did not know this before watching it, but it is the highest grossing anime film and Japanese film of all time.
Yep, there you go.
And fourth highest grossing film of all time, period, in Japan.
Yep, that makes sense.
Which is crazy.
That makes
a lot of sense. Spirited Away, right?
Yeah. I think Spirited Away held that title at some point. So yes, it came out in summer of 2016, which is, a few years back. Very, very weird that it was able to kind of rise to cultural prominence without much of a bar. Like when something like Spirited Away gets super famous, there's a history of how Miyazaki producing films of a high caliber or quality. Your Name, while Makoto Shinkai certainly has a name in the world when it comes to anime films, Your Name kind of, I would say, came out of nowhere to American audiences, if you guys would agree, maybe, and became a cultural phenomenon in the year it came out amongst anime fans, as we all kind of felt like we had to watch it. Somehow, David and I avoided watching it until this week, right? This was your first time too, David?
I've heard about it like maybe a bit ago.
Right.
I don't remember like when it came out. I don't remember hearing about it, but I know I've heard of it before watching.
Right. It's crazy. I actually bought it on Blu-ray to give my wife as a Christmas gift. And so we didn't open the Blu-ray until this week. We opened it. We opened it to watch it this week because we bought it like when it first came out, and we were like, okay, we're gonna open it up and finally watch it, which is crazy that we waited this long, guys. So that's wild. But yes, Your Name. Let's get into this. It's our first anime movie here on the Uncensored Anime Podcast. We hopefully are gonna do a lot more anime movies. Let's jump in. I mean, guys, what do you think? What is it about Your Name? What was it?
It's not Log Horizon.
It's not Log Horizon. It's not Log Horizon. Oh. So let's do I guess let's do the plot of Your Name.
Can you give us the overview?
Which is sort of confusing, almost intentionally. So let me tell you right now, if you've not seen this movie, turn this off and go watch it.
Yeah.
If you're an anime fan, it's a great movie. Turn this off and go watch it because we're going to spoil it, and it will not feel the same if you're spoiled from some of the plot points. So turn this off right now, go watch the movie, come back, and hear our review.
We love you.
And also,
come right back and watch this right after you watch the movie.
Come right back, wipe your tears, and watch us review this. So this is a movie about two characters, Taki and Mitsuha. And Mitsuha is she lives in a countryside village in Japan. Her dad's the mayor of, and she runs a Shinto temple. And Taki is a high school kid from Tokyo. And in the beginning of the movie, they begin switching bodies with each other. And they quickly find out that it's happening, and they start sort of setting rules, and neither of them sort of understands what's going on. And then you find out that which is sort of, I think at this point, a bit tropey, is that Mitsuha is 3 years in the past, and she dies. And they're switching bodies up to this point. And then Taki finds out that, one, she came 3 years in the past and met him before he knew who she was. And she is dead. She's no longer on this earth, and somehow he was switching bodies with her. And so they go through some sort of, magic loopholes, or truly I think it is, she's a Shinto priestess, and her grandma also switched bodies with a kid, and her village gets totally destroyed by a comet that hits. And the second half of the movie is about Taki trying to avoid that from happening. And they slowly fall in love with each other, obviously. It's super cute. And I love the fact that the red string, in Japan, the red string of fate is a thing. There's a red string attached to your pinky finger and attached to the one person that you'll love forever. And they sort of are connected through that red band. And all of the animation is awesome, all the music is awesome, but I think more people should see that Japan does romance way better than we do over here.
Oh my god.
Romance stories and
so
endearing
their interpretation.
True loving of two characters is so well communicated through anime and manga as a medium. And that's sort of, I mean, it's about Taki and Mitsuha's journey to stop her from dying in this horrible, accident. What's a natural disaster? This horrible natural disaster.
Yeah, there's I think it's mentioned a couple times, and there's like a pretty big scene where Mitsuha's grandma talks about union, and that's kind of like I see like the overall theme of the whole movie is union. Like when you drink water, you're conducting a union between you and the water, and so we're basically watching this union form between Taki and Mitsuha. And it's kind of funny because in the beginning she like wishes I want to be a boy. I want to be in Tokyo. I don't want to be in this town.
And she says, "In my next life, I hope I'm reborn as a cute boy." And the point where she comes into Taki's life, she's dead.
Yeah.
So it like she truly got her wish. She's reborn as a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the whole. So I think the only anime movies I've seen in my life have been like a few like Hayao Miyazaki films. Like I've seen Spirited Away, I've seen Kiki's Delivery Service, and I've seen like some Bleach and Naruto movies.
Right.
So my
Dragon Ball Z movies probably.
I haven't seen any Dragon Ball Z movies.
No,
Broly. I haven't seen Broly.
Broly?
I did see what was like the very first Dragon Ball Z movie with like the tree and Goku's like
Tree of Might, dude. Turles.
Tree of Might. Yeah, I've seen Tree of Might.
Yeah, you've seen a DBZ movie.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, but so it's like going into this, I was like just like very curious to see how it would be structured if it was going to be like I don't know, just like a normal movie from beginning to end. But I liked how there was like they kind of split the movie into 3 acts, and you can kind of tell when an act ended and began because they had like a little like a song would kick in and to be like a little mini montage, which is really cool. And so and even the beginning of the movie opened kind of like how an anime episode would open.
Yeah, it had an anime intro.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
And technically, that's the earliest, like, because it shows the scene where she's like, "My name's Mitsuha," and that's the earliest chronologically the movie ever goes, right? Like,
technically.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I just realized that. Yeah,
I didn't think about that, Kenny.
Yeah.
I actually think the entirety of the movie is told from Taki's perspective. Like his earliest chronological meeting with her is there, and then it's like her and his body and.
There's a brief flashback in the back end, Kenny, where you see her as a little kid, remember? So, you do go slightly into the past.
Whenever he's, like, falling through the...
Yeah, he, like, falls through her memories at some point. Yeah. And you kind of see, like, a glimpse of... But you're right. As a storytelling perspective, we start where Taki enters her life. We start... Yeah. Taki's the main character, at its truest form.
Taki is the main character.
With Mitsuha as also a main character, but not the main character.
Mm-hmm.
David,
so
thought?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't really remember where I was going with what I was saying, but I liked it. I guess I could just talk about just it overall. I really fucking enjoyed it. I knew going into it because I kind of had like a little bit of a bias going into it, knowing that it was going to be good based off of what I've heard. Mm-hmm. But I didn't expect it to be like the animation was probably my favorite part. The animation was so beautiful and fluid, and I think it like I just like while watching it, I wasn't like breaking it down and like performing like analysis. I just like remember sitting there and just staring at the screen. Wow, this is just. And I just really liked how they took Taki and Mitsuha's like relationship in the beginning, and they're like kind of like frenemies in a way. They're like they didn't know what's going on. They're just like dealing with it. And they're like, there's these rules like don't touch my boobs every morning, and don't spend all my money. No. Don't spend all my money on money. Yeah, but you can like as I was seeing their relationship progress, I was getting the feeling like, okay, they're probably going to fall for each other somehow. And then when I saw that she was dead, I was like, what? She's dead? Like that whole no, it wasn't really a climax, but like that big part of the movie where you realize all that at once, kind of like, oh, that's sad. And then I'm not gonna lie, I teared up at the end. The final scene when they're like, it's like 8 years. So the movie ends with them like 8 years in the future. Taki's successful. He somehow, fucking rewinds time, and that's a rewind time. He changes the timeline so that the Mitsua's town is not really affected by no one dies from the meteor. The meteor still crashes, but no one dies. People are injured, but no lives are lost. And then it's like 8 years into the future. Both of their memories are kind of fucked. They have like a constant feeling of forgetting something, but they can't remember what exactly. And then, which I mean, like realistically, I'm like, that's kind of bullshit. But I mean, it's for the point of the story, it's cute. Right. I'm like, they randomly run into each other in busy ass Japan.
Yeah,
and they see each other. I'm like, what are the odds? But I'm like, it's a movie.
I'm gonna say,
what is your name? What is your name?
It's like 5 years for Taki, 8 years for Mitsuha. So
yeah,
but
which is she? Are they the same age still?
No,
I was trying to figure out
older.
age.
I think she's
definitely older.
Because she's 17 whenever it says her age, whenever he's going through the obituary book, it says she's 17 years old.
To my knowledge, they're both seniors in high school during the time switching. So that means
she's 3 years older.
Yeah, so she's like he's like 23, she's like 26, something like that.
Whenever they meet on the mountain, they're the same age.
Yeah.
And I really like what they did with Taki's height, where whenever she meets him earlier, he's shorter than she is. Right? Or they're about the same height.
Scene.
Yeah, but then once he's on the mountain, he's like a head size taller than her.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why did you come to me whenever I didn't even know you yet?
Yeah.
She
didn't know. Yeah, I think that what makes this movie such a it was hyped up. This movie had a lot of hype. So it's hard having not seen it for 4 years since it came out. And then me and David getting to watch it for the first time. I'm not going to lie, I went into it with super high expectations. And I am happy that I came out of it going, damn, like it deserved the hype. Like I didn't walk away from it going like, oh yeah, that was okay. I walked away going, oh, okay, this is why this movie got what it was getting. And it's because there are two things that are the all-stars of this film. And it's the dialogue itself and the pacing of the film that made this work so well in this package. You've only got about 2 hours to tell the story, and you have to be very certain about what your characters are going to say and why they're going to say it. And so every scene in that movie mattered. Every scene had some sort of impact on the end goal, on the expectation, the outcome, the character development. Everything mattered about that. And so they didn't. I don't know if Shinkai wrote the script as well. I know that he directed it. But whoever the author of the film is, if it was Shinkai, then congrats to him. The dialogue really is the kicker in this film. You feel like everything they're saying is supernatural, super normal, and standard, despite the supernatural element that's at play, right? There is something supernatural happening, something abnormal happening, but the dialogue feels very human. It feels very grounded in humanity, feels very grounded in things that we would say to each other, in the visions and the expectations we have of each other and our people in our real life. I think one of the best scenes is Taki has been searching all day to find her village, blah blah blah. They're in the hotel afterwards, and his crush, what was her name, like Okudera, something like that. Okudera. She comes in and has this conversation with him about how he's feeling. So I was just like, this is really just real. It just felt very sharp in the way that it was written, in the dialogue. And I think that deserves a lot of praise for this film. You have to be able to say, even if it was beautifully animated all the way through, had the dialogue and story sucked, I don't think this film would have done anywhere near as well, right? Had it not been paced well, had it not given us this concise image of what love is, what love means. And there's something I've mentioned in other podcasts that we've done, and that I think comes back here, is that an anime can really succeed when it is able to master theming and thematic play. And there's a super imperative theme that runs through this film. I mean, it's this concept that David said, what unity, connection. It's connection, unity, whatever you want to call it. That theme is so prevalent across every scene of dialogue, of motive, all the way to the very, very end. You know exactly what lesson, what importance, and what value this film is bringing into the world. And you say, oh, wow, like that had a profound impact on what I was on me as a person, because I feel the need to be deeply to have connection in the world. We all want to have those moments with the people we care about, the humans in our lives. We deeply look for connection and connectivity, and I think that this film expressed it in a way that blew my mind a little bit, because in its surface, this feels like a weird, like, modern love story, right? There's text messaging and cutesy stuff, and it feels like a cliche modern love story at first. You really feel that. It's like, oh, it just looks like a normal anime, and, you know, they're really cutesy, and they're wearing their anime school outfits, and they're switching bodies and touching each other's boobs, and she had to go to the bathroom, all this stuff, you know, and he's got a love at work, and she's got these friends, blah, blah, blah. But then, yeah, at that halfway point, when the discovery happens, the theme of unity kicks in further. It's right here these two people learning about each other, living in each other's literal bodies, and now all of a sudden there's this desperation to still have that and to not lose that connection. Super powerful, super well illustrated and well written, and on top of all of that, right? So we've all talked about, now all three of us talked about the animation, the art, the writing, and the pacing, the story. The last component there, the music, y'all, was
great.
Fire. Instrumentals throughout were so amazing. I'm not sure who the composer is. I could probably look it up. To whoever was the composer that did, was able to illustrate story through music constantly. And I think this movie succeeded because they had the right team around it that wrote all these pieces and made them connect and brought this story to life. I think it was just a wonderful, wonderful. And the visuals on some of the, like, surrealistic parts were just, like, mind-boggling, dude. Like, you know, where he is falling through the memories and in the time portions, and they're standing on the mountain, finally connected, these surrealistic parts. Just incredible to look at. The countrysides. I don't know if I've ever seen an anime movie that drew crowds and countryside as well as they did in this film. Just other
the
than
Tokyo crowds were
Miyazaki
crazy.
Has crowds better than anyone I've ever seen, but this movie really gave him a run for his money. Your Name really drew crowds as if they were alive, as if there were people in them. And that just elevated this movie for me. When you can look at a crowd of anime people and they don't just look like a bunch of blocks, and they don't look like the crowd at Dressrosa in One Piece, because if you guys have seen Dressrosa, the anime, when they're fighting the Coliseum bad guy, the crowd is Toei.
Are they just dots?
For that. Because Oda does such a good job. Whatever. Your Name, the crowds looked like they were alive. Like there were people in them. Like there were humans doing things inside of them. It felt very alive. And I think they probably borrowed that from Miyazaki, who cares a lot about crowds and crowd shots, knowing that there are single humans in each body that is in the background. This movie cared a lot about the background. But that's my general thoughts on it overall.
Like, the characters are...
I don't know, guys. What else do you think about this?
They're sort of just regular, you know? Like, they're all just brown-haired. I'm muted?
Wait, I can hear him.
Oh, shoot. Wait. Yeah. I can't hear either of you.
Oh, Jerry, you're muted.
Wait, this is my fault. Give me 6 seconds.
He's going away?
Okay, I can hear you. Guys, I talked for so long. No. Okay, what's crazy is it probably recorded what you guys said, so this will be really funny. I'm going to leave this in.
Leave it.
I talked for so long a second ago that my headphones turned off because there was no sound coming out of them. So
you just kept going. You're like, okay, guys. So what do you think?
Yeah, sorry.
Another thing about the crowds and about the characters is that they're just like all of them are just drawn as regular people, brown hair, brown eyes. You know, there's no crazy anime hair, no crazy anime hair colors, none of that. It's just they're all just people.
Yeah.
And I think and the fact that each character is distinct as a person would be, and there's a huge thing about like movies and animation and TV and things like that as a thing. And like with a book, you write, right? And you say, oh, okay, you have to describe things. And there's a huge thing that it's like show, don't tell, right? if I just have to say it out loud to you in my anime, then I didn't do a good enough job of conveying that information. And like the fact that you quickly understand that Taki works, and you quickly understand that he can draw well, and he draws well whenever he's in Mizuha's body as well as in his. You know, like he wants to do that. Like he loves architecture and landscapes, and her Shrine Maiden thing isn't so like it doesn't directly tell us, hey, Mizuha is a Shinto priestess of the shrine in Itamori town. It sort of just shows her going through the motions of doing those things. You know, it doesn't hold our hand with details like that, or like it doesn't directly tell us that her dad's the mayor. It just is like shows them walking by and like, oh, even he treats his daughter that way, and it's like it's not like it doesn't have to just be like, okay, these are our characters, and this is what they do, and this is how they act, or how like Taki is really he's like fairly athletic, and so whenever he beats all the girls at basketball, and she's like, why am I getting confessed to by girls at my school now? Like, what's going on? Which is such a cute scene. But are you guys moving?
We're here.
Oh,
Kenny?
I'm here.
Oh, David's frozen.
No! He's the only one!
Wait, okay, you and me are still here?
Yeah, we're still here.
Okay, so David's actually frozen. Okay, so I'm going to keep recording through it while David's frozen. I hope he realizes that he's frozen. I'm sure he will.
This is the accidentally
I'm sure he will.
frozen.
We've had like 3 frozen freezes tonight, so we'll leave that in. But Kenny, I think you make such a solid point. I know that your talking point about like show don't tell is such a great moment, because a lot of other animes and even just like shows in general, TV shows in general, and novels don't know how to do that well, and so too often you end up being told a lot of things, and it's kind of boring. Log Horizon, as our other thing,
is the king of tell don't
show. Yeah, Log Horizon was okay. David's gone now for good. Log Horizon was the king of tell don't show. And Your Name was the exact opposite. It was it was able to establish things without having to tell us directly. So that's very interesting. On that note, I think that the only other big thing I want to mention about Your Name is that it's just for a movie that did as well as it did. I am surprised that it didn't win out. Like, it didn't win out on awards. It didn't really do anything. And I wonder if part of that just boils down to sort of the cliche nature of some of the parts of the plot. Because at the end of the day, it is still just a traditional love story. And I think that we, like, as much as a great film it is, a very powerful and profound film, we do still have to recognize and acknowledge sort of where it builds some cliche and some stereotype from certain parts. And that there is that it has fault in that matter. I think that it could be a turnoff for some certain moviegoers. I think standard movie watchers who maybe don't traditionally watch an anime movie might still have a tough time getting into this film, because it does build on some of the anime archetypes that we know as anime fans. So I do wonder if maybe that's where it loses some of its mass or general appeal, is in that moment. So I do think that's the one critique I have of the film is I love it because a modern love story is like a cool concept, right? I think we often do love stories set in the past, but the idea of just doing a modern love story is always fun to watch when done well. And I think including a supernatural element gives it that elevated feeling that a good rom-com or that sort of live action film would need, and the animation just elevates that surrealistic and that supernatural element to it. So I think that that's really the key to all of this. Okay, so David, he did. David's reporting his internet literally died. That just happened to me. That's so funny. Okay, we'll cut it until David can come back. We will cut it until David can come back, and then we'll finish up today's episode. All right, everyone. Hey. So we have had some technical difficulties tonight. Everyone's internet has been going out. We've really had a tough time. I'm sure you can tell that David...
Cox, man.
that David is in a different setup. David, tell the boys what's going on.
Oh, my God. These Cox motherfuckers cucking me again.
Cox
oh, my God.
God.
This man ain't got no internet.
I'm just living the life, and then talking about some good old your name, and then Cox is like, nah, we don't want any of that. We don't want any of that on our internet service, and then they just kick me off. So here I am.
Is that part 4?
Are you watching JoJo's this whole time?
No, I promise. I promise.
Break down.
I promise I'm paying attention.
Oh my god, he had JoJo's playing like this. I know.
Damn, jump guy.
So good.
Okay, boys. So we pretty much, I think we got all of our thoughts out before it cut out about your name. I think we covered everything. David, Kenny, did you guys have final thoughts? I kind of said my final thoughts. We filmed it up.
I did as well.
And Kenny did as well. David, did you have some final thoughts on your name?
Final thoughts. Fucking masterpiece. If anyone ever comes up to me and is like, hey, I want to watch an anime, but I'm feeling like a movie. I'm feeling like a short thing. I'm going to say your name without skipping a beat. Watch your name. And honestly, that might be the gateway for people to get into anime as a whole. So
absolutely,
that shit's beautiful.
That's awesome. Okay, should we even rank this, or is this like, is it too high status wise? Like, should we rank it?
I think we should.
Yeah,
I mean, we're going to give it 9s and 10s. I'm assuming. So let's rank it. Let's rank it.
All right, David, count us down.
All right, 3, 2, 1, 9.
9.
10
Kenny give it a 10. I give it a 9.
Out of 10.
9.
I think that
I give it 9.
This movie makes you feel emotions, and that is why I watch anime.
Yeah.
So
I think the only thing that cut me down to a 9, Kenny, and David, I mentioned this while you were off, but is the fact that the movie relies a little bit too heavily on some of the cliche technicalities of like modern romance that could be a turnoff for someone who's not a traditional anime fan. That could make it difficult. I think because of that was the only thing that I was like, but the dialogue's so concise, the art's so concise, the animation, the storyline super well done, super thematic. I love this movie, for lack of a better word. It made my wife bawl her eyes out at the end. It's very profound. It's a beautiful film. So it definitely deserves a solid 9.
Why do you write I love you?
Bro, I have never cried. That when she tripped and she looked at her hand, I said, no. I said, I'm done.
I was a little confused. I was like, wait, when did he write that?
When did he write that though? I don't know.
I was like he the whole time up to that point, he like obviously cares about her, but he didn't really express any like feelings of love or affection in that way. So when I saw the I love you, I was like, what? But it was still, I was like, damn. Yeah. He feels that way. He really feels that way.
He really
after the date, remember, she was like, you did used to like me, but you don't like me anymore. You like something.
Yeah, they do sprinkle in like the seeds of like, oh, he's not really, he's actually growing feelings for this other girl that he's switching bodies with. Yeah. So yeah, they do plant that seed pretty early.
Yes. Okay, great. Like we said, masterpiece. Go watch it. If for some reason you listen to us talk before you watch the movie, go back and watch the movie. If not, just watch it. Do yourself a favor. Go watch your name. Fantastic.
Show it to all your non-anime friends.
All right, so because we've been having so many technical difficulties, we got to wrap this puppy up. It's been another great episode here on the Uncensored Anime Podcast. I almost call our old name. Uncensored Anime.
No, it's dead, Jerry. It's dead.
It's dead. It's gone forever. And you know how we always wrap it up here on the Uncensored Anime Podcast? We let our boy Kenny take us on a wild ride through another shonen anime. So he gives us our quick overview of a shonen anime that devolved into madness. So Kenny, take it away. What anime are you taking us down? Well, it's a manga, isn't it?
This I read. Well, yeah. In general, it's almost always mangas. Usually the animes get canceled long before. But this week I read a manga, which I read previously, but I wanted to brush up because I knew it was fucking insane. And it's called PSYREN. And PSYREN is a manga about, you get introduced to this kid, Yoshina Ageha, and he gets transported into the future to save his high school classmate. And you think that that's sort of the function of the show. And then they get brought back, and there are these like psionic powers. So in the future, the world is destroyed, and there are these psionic powers that exist, and these creatures that run around and control the world now. And there's a whole new group of people, like I talked about in like phone games, how there's like a new prospect of people. Well, let's throw that out the window. The second week that they go, the second time, first of all, they only go to the future 4 times, period, in the whole thing. Which, in the beginning of the manga, it feels like it's the whole function of the manga. It's the going to the future, coming back, and preparing to go to the future again. And the whole point is to, like, change the future, but, like, they can't tell other people about the future because that's part of the psionic power of the character that sends them to the future. And the character that sends them to the future, Nemesis Q, is actually controlled by this girl her name is only like number 7, and they're all the main bad guy is sort of this he's sort of this like they're all like these lab rats, and the main bad guy is number 6. But actually he's not the main bad guy. A comet is the main bad guy. A comet crashes into the Earth that takes control of the planet, and also, the girl that he rescued has 2 personalities, and she can summon her inner demon, but only does it one time. And you know the psionic abilities, and there were 3 different abilities. It was like Rise and Telekinesis and some shit. Throw that out the window. The main character fuses them all together, and that's how you do your ultimate move. And he only uses it twice because the manga got canceled, but... Also, there was, like, the main Lancer guy, like, his best friend, but he gets trapped in the future, and then we forget about him until the last 10 chapters.
What?
No character has any true motivation, and then there are some characters from the first chapter that show up again at, like, chapter 80. So, like, they were, like, previous players of the game, and they founded this, like, settlement in the future, and... Then there are these kids, and the kids have psionic powers, and then they save the kids. The kids die originally in the future, but then they make it so that they don't die, and then the kids are, like, old and really powerful. And then there's, like, a separate timeline, and he falls asleep and then gets told by them to wake up, and he wakes up and he's back home, and he saved the world. Guess what?
It was all a dream. It was all a dream.
It wasn't a dream. He just, like, got beat. He got his ass beat, and he fell asleep, and then...
That was like his.
Yeah, well, he wakes up in the hospital when all of his friends are there to see him, and it's like I don't know, just so many characters get forgot about, and like then new characters get introduced that you don't care about. And
this one does sound. This one sounds like a legitimate roller coaster, dude. Like
that was roller coaster.
Every chapter felt like it was trying to pull a new element in, and it unravels, and sometimes shonen manga they just need to end.
They just need to end. And PSYREN did end pretty promptly.
I mean, it got canceled.
Yeah,
so.
it did. It never got an anime adaptation, so poor PSYREN. I always wanted to read it when it was coming out because I heard it was popular for quite a bit, but it ended up kind of derailing, and then it actually did get canceled. It's crazy because it made it over the 100-chapter mark, but then got canceled like quickly after that, which is wild. That, like, I think that PSYREN is like Kenny's... The basis of Kenny's shonen anime unravels and just needs to end. This is like the author really just had no idea where he was going, and it went way too long, and it developed into something that it was not. So that's crazy, boys.
It was a Bleach Titakubo, but just like an actual just tank.
Yeah.
The fun parts weren't bad, but fuck, man, it just spiraled.
It needed to end. That's fantastic. Okay, guys. On that note, we are wrapping this puppy up. The end after a tough technical difficulty night where we had to play with our good friends over at Log Horizon, and they got to talk about one of the best anime films, potentially, I would say, of all time. So what a great night to talk some anime and get things together. So let's talk about what we're doing next on the Uncensored Anime Podcast. So David suggested Log Horizon, so we are now moving on to Kenny's suggestion. And Kenny, what are we watching this week?
So this week we are going to watch another anime movie that I really like, and it's on Netflix. Check it out. It's called A Silent Voice.
A Silent Voice.
It had I both read the short manga and watched the movie. You should check it out. And then we're going to do a recommendation from our father.
From our dad.
He said we should check out Copcraft, which is a reverse isekai. So I haven't started that, but I'm excited to check it out, you know?
Yep. Copcraft, super short. It's 12 episodes, and it's also based on a light novel. So if you have any interest in that, it's a light novel. It's on Hulu. It might be on some other platforms, but it's for sure available on Hulu right now, both subbed and dubbed, if you would like to check that out and come back and hear our review on it next week. So That's going to be awesome. So Copcraft and a silent voice next week. Same bat place, same bat channel, right here on the Uncensored Anime Podcast. Make sure to check us out. Boys, you got anything else to say?
No.
All right then, boys. Let's end this. Peace.